Well, for years now, we've heard how American democracy is under siege from a country with an economy about the size of the state of Texas, but nevertheless somehow has limitless and corrupting resources. That, of course, is Russia, led by Vladimir Putin. So the question is, just how much did Russian meddling amount to in the 2016 election? That question's been outstanding for a while, but yesterday we got some details. The Google CEO Sundar Pichai appeared on Capitol Hill and was asked. Watch.
Does Google now know the full extent to which its online platforms were exploited by Russian actors in the election 2 years ago?
We have, we undertook a very thorough investigation, and in 2016, we now know that there were two main ad accounts linked to Russia, which advertised on Google for about $4,700 in advertising. We also found other limited...
Total of $4,700?
That's right.
$4,700. In other words, about the price of dinner for five with vodka at a good restaurant in Moscow. To put it in political terms, Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016 spent about $768 million total. And that means that Hillary spent more than $1,600 for every penny the Russians spent on Google. But nobody in Washington is rejoicing about how secure our democracy is. That's not surprising, because protecting democracy was never the point. Undermining it, needless to say, has always been the point. More and more evidence emerges, by the way, that the Department of Justice may deserve a new name, because justice is not clearly the top priority. Newly filed court documents show that FBI Deputy Director Andy McCabe advised Michael Flynn not to bring a lawyer to his interview with federal agents in January 2017. Flynn inexplicably, moronically agreed to that. Agents then deliberately chose not to warn Flynn that he could be criminally charged for false statements. Then they sprang criminal charges on him after his interview. Jonathan Turley is professor at George Washington University Law School, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks very much.
Thank you.
So the first, just the troubling takeaway is clearly Flynn should have brought a lawyer.
Right. And
message to those watching at home, if the FBI is interviewing you, bring a lawyer. That's not. But do you want to live in a country where the government seeks to mislead you in order to get you to commit a crime? That doesn't seem like justice.
Well, it does answer the question of who's the last guy who believes, trust us, we're the government, and apparently that would be Michael Flynn. But you also have to put in context, this was right at the beginning of essentially at the administration, during the transition.
Yes.
And he answered a bunch of questions, a great number of them apparently, and the agents knew that some of those answers didn't fit very well with what they knew. And what's fascinating about the information we have is they made the conscious decision not to raise those with him. So there is a certain feeling of a trap here that obviously he never clued into. Now, this wouldn't bother me as much if they nailed him on something significant. If they had, the 7 heads in a duffel bag that they found.
Exactly, that's right.
But instead, they nailed him on a false statement about a meeting that was not just lawful, but not particularly unprecedented. He met with Russians as the incoming national security advisor during the transition. That's not unprecedented. He spoke to them about policy, and he omitted the fact, or he denied, that they had talked about sanctions. That does seem like something that you could miss, something that frankly could skip your mind. So the question is, if the agents had raised that with him, would he have corrected the record? I don't know. But at the end of the day, what's really troubling is not just the fact that they proceeded to criminalize it, but that the initial agents apparently did not believe he was intentionally lying, and they did not recommend the charge. Now, you now fast forward to where we are now, and I can only imagine what Flynn might be thinking in reading the recent filings, because in one of the footnotes for Cohen, the prosecutors note that he came in and made all types of false statements about all types of stuff to investigators, and then simply says matter-of-factly, he then corrected those statements. And I could imagine Michael Flynn reading this thing, wow, okay, what happened to my chance to correct?
That's so awful. So Cohen, who's clearly a practiced liar and a sleazy person by his own admission, Flynn, who's not, I don't think Flynn's a liar, actually. I don't think he ran an intelligence agency for the U.S. military. He's, had to be polygraphed. How sad is this? to destroy a man's life over this.
Well, it is sad, considering his career as a whole. But he was the unwitting victim of trust, and it is a cautionary word for everyone in Washington.
It's so sad. It's our government. We pay for it. We vote for it. We shouldn't be mistreated by it on purpose, I don't think. You laugh knowing you've lived in Washington
too long. Right.
Professor, thank you very much.
Thank you.